Welcome to Jets Overtime, presented by Duncan. Well, how about those New York Jets? 2 in a row. They come back to MetLife Stadium after a big upset last week over the LA Rams, and they take down the Cleveland Browns today by a 23-16 score. Like I said, I'm Eric Allen inside the beautiful BetMGM studio. Now let's bring in my partners on Jets Overtime, Anthony Beckton, Eric Coleman. Let's start with our safety. Eric, that was a smothering effort by Frank Bush's unit. 4 sacks of Baker Mayfield, 7 quarterback hits, 11 PDs, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. How about that defense?
It was a great performance by the defense and exciting, to see the guys flying around. They were, you had contributions from Frankie Louvu, Nathan Shepard, Basham, all these guys, Franklin Myers. They all had sacks, forced fumbles. They were getting after it, flying around as a defense. It really looked like they were enjoying themselves. Did a great job containing the tight ends. Austin Hooper, he was targeted 15 times, ends up with 7 catches. I thought it was a great performance by the defense. They were knocking balls down, stripping the ball, tackling well in open field. They should be proud of themselves for what they did today.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. How about Jamison Crowder? Anthony did it all today. Had a touchdown pass. The Jets were down 3-0. That started a 20-point run, a beautiful dime to Braxton Berrios. And then he had a touchdown catch in the third quarter. He was getting some yards on jet sweeps. He had nearly 100 yards receiving. Wow, he did everything for the offense.
Yeah, it was a great job by him. Obviously the trick play was a nice dial-up, nice creativity from the offensive standpoint. I thought in general the creativity of the offense was good. Probably one of the better games overall, at least in the first half. And then, of course, almost the hat trick, right? Didn't score on the jet sweep, but, had some good plays across the board, was a weapon. And that's clearly, Sam's top target. That's the guy that he feels more comfortable with. And it was nice to see Herndon as well get some really key catches, took advantage of his targets throughout the game. So, again, Crowder was a huge part of the reason why this team got off to a great start.
Eric, what did you think about the defense, the way they made the transition to Cleveland's game plan? Anthony and I were just talking about it before. Anthony thought Kevin Stefanski probably gave the Jets a favorable positioning there by they went away from the run game early in the first half. You were thinking, well, we're down 4 receivers due to these COVID restrictions and contact tracing, that they'll definitely come out and run the football. Instead, they came out passing the football.
Yeah, that really surprised me. They came out throwing the football around the field, or attempting to throw the football. And with the strength of this team is their offensive line and their run game. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are very physical runners. They have great vision. They play with authority and really dictate the game typically for this Cleveland Brown offense. And it was surprising to see them go away from the run game, go to the passing game, and really go right into the Jets' strength. I thought that the Jets did a great job of getting after Baker Mayfield, pressuring him all day. They loaded up the box. They made it to where Baker Mayfield was going to have to beat them with the tight ends, and that was not happening. Marcus May, the defensive backs did a great job in coverage, and really suffocated this Browns offense.
Yeah, Anthony, we knew it was going to be potentially a big problem for the Browns, not having Jarvis Landry. Rashard Higgins not in the lineup as well. Donovan Peoples-Jones. So Baker Mayfield targeted the tight ends a lot. Austin Hooper, his number 1 target today. And again, the Browns, who came into this game, the number 3 rushing team in the National Football League, they had 4 yards rushing in the first half for 9 yards. 4 attempts for 9 yards.
Yeah, I don't really know what the game plan was. I thought it was ludicrous for them to come out pass first. It didn't make any sense. I thought Stefanski got a little cute, to be quite honest with you, because he outthought himself. He thought, okay, let me try to get some quick passing game going, come back to the run. But quite honestly, it wasn't mixed up for them to have balance. They did exactly what the Jets wanted to do, was put the ball in the quarterback's hands and force him to make plays, and they didn't have to worry about stopping the run in this football game. It was a head scratcher to me. I'll be quite honest with you. We'll take it all day because it was just a bad plan coming in. It didn't really have anything to do with the receivers being down. It's not like they dropped balls or, the receiving game wasn't there. I just, you put too much on your quarterback, which I think we all would agree that Baker Mayfield is better playing off the run. If they had all their receivers in play, I think we would all agree also their best two offensive players are still Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So I'm not quite sure what they wanted to do going in this game, but I think they were just either worried of the fact that they weren't going to be able to have any passing game, but I thought they had enough with tight ends, play action plays, things they could have did building off the run, and they just completely had no faith in it. It's a head scratcher, but it was definitely for the advantage to the Jets.
Eric, how about the complementary football we saw out there today? 10 points off of 2 Baker Mayfield turnovers. You had Frankie Louvu, like you mentioned, with the strip sack that was recovered by Lorenzo Fatukasi, and then Terrell Basham in the fourth quarter with the Jets hanging on to a 4-point lead. He came up with a strip sack that was recovered by John Franklin Myers, ultimately led to a Sam Ficken field goal and gave the Jets a 7-point cushion.
Yeah, I love to see the complimentary football, making the Browns pay for their mistakes. And, Frankie Louvu was active all day. It was great to see him force some turnovers. But Basham on the quarterback sneak with the hit in the back to force that fumble on Baker Mayfield was awesome. It was great to see the physicality this team played with. They were missing Quinnen Williams going into the game. So everyone was wondering, how is the D-line going to play? Well, they brought it. They brought the energy today. They brought the enthusiasm and really delivered and played a great game.
Yeah, how about Arthur Millette, who has made the switch to free safety, Anthony? Today he had 5 tackles, not only 5 tackles, but 3 pass defenses. The Jets, 11 pass defenses in all. Bryce Hager steps up at the inside linebacker position. Seems like a broken record for us. We continue to talk about who's filling in alongside Neville Hewitt, and these guys are just coming up big. And then finally, great point by Eric there. Jets have a 7-point lead late in this ball game. What did you see from the 4th and 1? Were you surprised that Stefanski goes with the quarterback sneak with the small Baker Mayfield there? They converted on a short yardage situation before with Mayfield, but Terrell Basham said after the game, great push on the inside, and then he comes up with the knock of the ball loose from Mayfield that was ultimately recovered from the Browns. Game over.
Yeah, I believe that was Henry Anderson on the inside, really stoning the guard. And then Basham cleaned it up with a big hit on the back of Baker Mayfield to cause that fumble. And then, of course, not being able to advance the fumble because Baker himself was the only player that could actually do that and pick it up, which he didn't do. Hunt got on the ball. So, look, I got to give credit to this defensive line. You talked about Millette. I thought he did some nice things. Actually should have had an interception. This game went right. Wasn't able to pull one in later in the second half. But, for me, I just felt like the defensive line, no Quinnen Williams. What were you going to do to make a difference? Give credit to Shepard, Fatukasi, Basham, Henry Anderson. Those guys stepped up. They made it very difficult, for the Browns, especially in the passing game. And again, the Browns did them a huge favor on not leaning on the run in this game. So clearly it was a lot of havoc and causing Baker Mayfield to move around in the pocket a bit. Able to cause 3 fumbles, getting 2 of them, which were huge in the football game. And again, I think we talked about this. When you make Baker Mayfield the kind of pinnacle piece of the offense, that's where the success has really decreased for this football team. And they were very one-sided, and the Jets took advantage of it defensively.
You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Duncan. We will be right back with both Anthony Becht and Eric Coleman. But let's go back to MetLife Stadium right now and hear from Jets head coach Adam Gase.
Adam, how impressive was the effort by your D-line today with Quinnen out against that rushing attack, 4 sacks, the 4th and 1 stop?
I think when you look at it, holding that team to, 45 yards rushing, it was great defensive effort, from the whole unit. It takes the safeties, it takes the corners, linebackers, front. But obviously it starts up front. I thought those guys played with great energy, played physical, did a good job. We did a good job of gang tackling when there was only 1 or 2 times where, one of their backs kind of popped out. I think it was on some screens to where we didn't do a good job getting them down. But that was our big point of emphasis for us this week, of making sure that we did a good job of getting them as many bodies around those guys as possible.
How would you assess Sam's play today, Adam?
Obviously I'm going to have to go back and look at it. There were some things where I think, he was trying to push the ball down the field. It's a tough defense to go against, especially that front. That front's really good. We couldn't really get anything explosive for the most part. I mean, it just felt like we had to really put a drive together to get down the field, and some of the third down conversions weren't easy. But I mean, he did enough for us to win, and he did a good job of protecting the football.
Adam, what has Crowder meant to this team? Obviously, he did it today with his arm, with the catching, even at a long run. Just what has he meant to this team this year?
The thing I'd say about Crowder over the last 2 seasons that he's so consistent. You always can count on him. The quarterback can definitely count on him, be in the right spot, right time, make the play that needs to be made in the moment, especially when it's a critical one. When we need a big play, whether it's the perfect coverage or perfect route, it seems like he comes down with the ball and, he makes something happen when we need something needs to be happening.
Get running for less at Dunkin' with a $1 medium hot coffee with a sandwich purchase. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Exclusions apply. Limited time offer. You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Dunkin'. Eric Allen here inside the BetMGM studio. The Jets make it 2 in a row, a 23-16 win over the previously 10-4 Cleveland Browns. Now Cleveland is going to struggle to make the playoffs. They could have clinched a playoff spot today with the win over the Jets. But, hey, as I bring back both Anthony Becht and Eric Coleman, you cannot take the New York Jets lightly anymore, because if you do, they're going to hit you in the face. I mean, they've done that the last 2 weeks, Eric. I thought they were the better team up front against the LA Rams, and they did it again today to the Cleveland Browns. And Adam Gase just mentioned it. They held the Browns to less than 60 yards rushing, and as Anthony keeps on harping on, Baker Mayfield had 53 pass attempts.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance, and you would think after the Jets come out with a great performance against the Los Angeles Rams last week, that would have been a big key for the Browns to say, listen, we can't sleep on this Jets team. They've only won one game, but they play ferocious. They play fierce. They're attacking on offense. They do a lot of things great. We have to be on point. And granted, yes, they were missing their wide receivers. They found out about that late in the week. But still, this team has won 10 games running the football, playing good defense, getting after the quarterback. And the Jets were able to stop the run, protect the quarterback, take shots down the field. I know it took Jamison Crowder to take the shots down the field, but they still were able to be effective offensively, move the football, play great defense. And, it's just really nice to see the complementary attack the Jets came out with today.
Anthony, I know it's got to be frustrating for the fan base because the Jets really look like they've found their formula for winning the last 2 weeks. They've rode excellent defensive efforts. They've taken leads in the first half, and they've done just enough offensively with the balanced attack, not turning the football over, and they combine all those elements along with playing sound special teams to victory.
Yeah, I think, coming into the game, I thought it would be tough for them to run the football. They really did well across the board using P. Ryan and Gore and multiple options as far as accumulating more than 125 yards, which I didn't think they'd get in this game. I think they ended up with 134 yards. And you talked about the balance. It is good balance. The first half of this game is really where the difference was. The Browns could not get started. We've talked about it the entire season. Jets starting fast has been a positive for them. And, Sam played a much better first half than the second half. Completion percentage was a little down as the game went on, but they were able to kind of get some stops on defense, which are huge. Sometimes when you're not clicking on certain levels, you got to lean on another phase of your team to pick it up. And the defense did that today, and that was huge. It was nice to see Chris Herndon get involved today. Not quite sure, why no Mims action in this game. That would have been a player again. I saw the one opportunity down the sidelines, kind of a 50-50 play, but he's been so effective in the middle and the one-on-one matchups. Again, this is, the secondary that's been good with the Browns, but, just playing off that a little bit, trying to get him the ball. But overall, you did enough. You did some crossing routes early. You did some nice things to convert third downs, and you got yourself in place to get an early lead, which ultimately was the difference in this game.
So a franchise record ends today for the New York Jets. 8 consecutive games with scores on their opening possession. They couldn't do it a 9th time, but I'll tell you what they did. They took a 13-3 lead into halftime, and on their first possession in the second half, they marched right down the field, and that drive culminated on a 30-yard touchdown pass from Sam Darnold to Jamison Crowder. Crowder was all over the place today, and Ethan Greenberg was one of the few people who actually could contain him for a few moments. Let's check that out.
Now joined by Jets wide receiver Jamison Crowder. Jamison, congratulations on another win. What could you say about the offense's performance today?
I thought we played well. Yeah. I thought we played well in the first half for sure. Moving the ball. Came out second right in the third quarter and put a drive together. But I felt like we kind of stalled, in the fourth quarter. So I feel like we can be better there. But overall, I thought we played well.
Jamison, how about your performance today? You had a touchdown pass, a touchdown reception, and you had a run.
Yeah, I mean, this week, they try to involve me a little bit more in the offense. So I just try to go out there, and take advantage of the plays, the opportunity that I was given. So things worked out well. I was able to connect on a pass with Barrios, and Sam was able to hit me on a strike down the sideline. So, it was a good day for me.
Let me ask you this. When was the last time you threw a pass in a game, and can you take us through that passing touchdown?
It was a play that we worked on all week in practice. And in practice, I didn't throw it as good. We still connected on it in practice. That was my boy right there, you feel me? But we connected in practice, but, came out here today, and it was better. I, dropped it right there where it needed to be. Bears were ready to play. And yeah, man, I'm just glad we got the win.
All right, lastly, Jamison, how would you describe the mood around this team right now after 2 in a row, and where do you go from here to close out the season strong?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, man. We're just trying to finish the season off strong, man. It's been a rough.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's been a rough week. I mean, a rough year, but man, we're just trying to finish out strong right now.
You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Duncan, an exuberant Jets bunch behind Jamison Crowder. Crowder, the offensive star today as the green and white win their second consecutive game, a 23-16 victory over the Cleveland Browns. The Browns now 10-5. There are Jamison's stats this afternoon. Nearly 100 yards receiving. The one rush attempt came on a jet sweep. The receiving touchdown, a beautiful play design, a bunch formation, a wheel route, and then you can't throw it any better than Jamison Crowder did, dropping a dime to Braxton Berrios for a 43-yard score. That was Crowder's second pass in the National Football League. Okay, fellas, let's not ignore the obvious. We're not going to bury anything here. I know people at home are saying, hey, these guys are homers. They don't want to discuss anything here. Well, that's not true. That's just not true. And this is Jets Overtime presented by Duncan, and we're going to give it to you all. The Jets own the number 2 overall selection in the 2021 draft. They won today. They won last week. The Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Chicago Bears. In fact, they took a beating at home to the Bears. So the Jets won't have the number 1 overall selection. As you're sitting here, Eric, and you watch the players go by Jamison Crowder, and you fellas bled, sweat, worked out throughout your careers, and you know how much those games mean. Tell me what a player right now thinks about April's draft.
Well, the players right now, that's the last thing on their mind is the draft. Everyone's focused on this season. They're excited about this victory. But when you sit back and think about the draft, a lot of guys don't know if you're going to be here. You may be a free agent. Teams change so much from year to year that you can't really focus on the draft. And I'll tell you one thing for me personally, the only draft I ever enjoyed was the one that I was selected in. Other than that, I was waiting because I figured that they were, every year I played, it seems like they were drafting someone to replace me. I kept fighting them off, but it was also the frustrating time for me. Not frustrating, but it was one of those things where you're like, man, I hope they don't draft a safety this year. So, the players, it's really in the back of their mind. They're celebrating about this victory and excited about the opportunity to end the season on a high note and take that momentum into the offseason.
So, Anthony, who are the Jets going to select number 2 overall? I'm just kidding. What I do want to say, though, being at number 2 overall, Joe Douglas is going to have a lot of options. And we don't even know how things are going to change over the next couple months.
Yeah, listen, the Jags weren't beating the Colts next week either, so it didn't really matter. I mean, I want to see, I want to see these guys finish on a good note, which they are doing. I think it's important for the organization to get a good look and feel for the guys that are playing and find out who is going to stay intact and stay in place. Who are the risers, who is playing well, and build your roster from that point. Look, there's a lot of ammo right now that's going to be available for Joe Douglas and this organization to make things happen. And that's the most important thing. I think we can all agree the season did not go the way fans wanted, but you can lean on a lot of different reasons why it didn't. And to think that, getting the number 1 pick in the draft would have changed things, it's all speculative. Remember, all these picks, no matter who it is in the draft or any draft, it's all driven on potential. No one knows what any of these players can do. And we've seen over the course of time, the perfect example is the guy that's done it against the organization for the longest, Tom Brady, who was drafted in the 6th round. So you got to do your homework. You got to be really good at what you're doing in the draft. You got to find great free agents, and you're going to have the ability to showcase that. So I'm excited for what lies forward for this team, because it should be a completely revamped roster with a lot of big names and a lot of young, refreshing names that can really help put this team in where they want to be and the fan base wants to be.
Yeah, and no roster stays the same in the National Football League. I wanted to ask you about culture, because a lot of people are getting on me and saying, well, what do you mean culture? Because there's going to be a lot of changes in the offseason. They're 2-13 right now. But what does it say, and what can be built? Obviously, you're not carrying over victories from 2020 to 2021, but the effort that these guys have put forth, and also the way they've stuck together. Can you talk a little bit about culture and what you're seeing going on here?
Well, what I'm seeing is a culture of hard work, a culture of dedication. These guys are playing for one another. They're fighting for one another each and every day. You see the sacrifices that the whole league is making to stay safe and to stay COVID-free. I think the Jets have been at the top of the league in that, and just doing a really good job of being selfless and worried about each other and being able to come out here and play. But ultimately, I think this culture shows you that if you stick to it, you continue to work hard, you can carry that momentum into the next season. And there are going to be a lot of guys from this roster, no matter what happens with the coaching staff, that are going to be here because they're the foundation. They're working hard. And these are the kind of guys that you want in your locker room. Yes, they need a couple of key pieces here and there, some big time players in certain positions. But for the most part, you love to see the guys fly around. You love to see the energy. You love the brotherhood. I think that's what's going to carry over to the next season.
Sam Darnold was not perfect today. 16 of 32 for 175 yards. He was sacked on 2 occasions. But you know what he did right? 2 touchdown passes, no turnovers, and he can call himself a winner for a second consecutive week. Here's what he had to say after the game.
To have back-to-back wins after you guys snapped the 0-13 streak last week and come back and beat another team that's playoff hopeful.
Yeah, again, like I said after our game last week, I think, it's just playing consistent football. It feels good to continue to win and win back-to-back games. So we're just going to look to build off of this as momentum for next week.
Given the way Jamison's throwing the ball now, do you think there might be a quarterback controversy coming up?
Yeah, maybe. I told him, next series you might think about going back there and playing some snaps at Q. So what a dime, though. It was cool because I was blocking on it around the edge, and I had no one to block. So I looked to see if Barrios was wide open, and he was. So I just saw the ball come right over his shoulder. He threw it perfectly, and, yeah, it was awesome to see.
How proud are you of this entire football team, not just the offense, but the way you guys have hung in there? Of course, it didn't start out great with the 0-13 start, but to put back-to-back wins together, never really give up.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, our guys are so resilient with everything we do. Coming out here and playing the way that we did, for us as an offense, struggling a little bit in that second half, and our defense and special teams having our back. That's how we play football, and they did a great job there. So I'm just super proud of the guys. They came in, we had a huge win in LA, and then, we came into work that Monday, and, Wednesday and the whole week, we put in a really good week of work, and we're super excited about the win. But we got another tough challenge in New England, and we're excited for it.
You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Duncan. The Green and White win their second consecutive game, a 23-16 triumph over the Cleveland Browns at MetLife Stadium. Jamison Crowder, 7 receptions today for 92 yards. He threw a touchdown. He had a touchdown reception. Chris Herndon also pitched in with 4 receptions for 34 yards and a score. That touchdown, Anthony, came following a takeaway of Frankie Louvu's strip sack of Baker Mayfield that was recovered by Lorenzo Fatukasi. I'm encouraged by what I've seen from Herndon the last couple games. It's nice to see him getting involved. How did he get so free on the touchdown?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, he's really been running his routes really good and just getting into the vision of the quarterback. It all starts with just burst off the football. And I think if we go back in time, guys, I've been a big, kind of supporting key for Herndon because there's been a lot of down plays early on in the season. And the one thing that I mentioned that was key was the lack of opportunities and targets he gets to redeem himself. And you're seeing now the more chances he's got in the last couple of weeks, you haven't seen those mistakes. You've seen him catch balls. Had a tough catch today as well, a tough one last week. Seeing him getting into the end zone. These are things, again, that are only going to help him moving forward with the organization. I truly believe he's a guy that sticks around. I think he's a really good player that, again, we all want to see everybody reach their potential in year 3. But let's be honest. I mean, I just don't know if he's gotten the opportunities to really show what he can bring to the table. So I know that fans were a little down on him early on in the season, but I know how this thing works, man. I see the good in him. I see the work he puts in. And, to be healthy for the entire season obviously was key as well. But getting him the football, getting him targets, I truly believe he's a guy that you should try to target, and I don't want to be realistic, but, 2 to 3 times a quarter, 2 at the least, because he is a guy that's a mismatch problem versus a linebacker and a safety.
Let's get to Olivia Landis right now, who's standing by with the aforementioned Chris Herndon.
Chris, this is 2 weeks in a row that the Jets have now defeated a very talented team. What has been the difference in the last 2 weeks compared to the rest of the season?
You can feel the energy around the locker room. It is the end of the season, and we're not going to playoffs, but we still have a lot of pride and a lot of commitment to this team, and everyone just comes to work every day. They lock in. They taking care of their bodies, doing whatever they can so that we can all finish the season strong as a team.
Chris, this offense was clicking on all cylinders today. You yourself were able to connect with quarterback Sam Darnold for that touchdown. Can you tell me a little bit how good it felt to be back in the end zone for you?
I felt good. A bunch of us got in the end zone today, and it just goes to show that if we lock in and focus on each play, not think about what happened the last play or thinking too far ahead. If you just lock in and hone in on what's going on right now and be present, great things can happen for everyone.
Chris, how much this week did this offense focus on trying some new things? Because in the game, we saw wide receiver Jamison Crowder throw the ball, run the ball. We saw everybody really get involved in this offense. What did you guys focus on this week that was a little different?
We didn't switch anything up too much. I just, feel like we just been bringing great energy starting, even in the weight room, coming in, lifting every day, taking care of ourselves and, taking that to practice. And, how we've been practicing has been translating to the game. And, results like these with the work everybody's putting in, it feels amazing.
Chris, congrats on the win. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Duncan. Eric Allen inside the BetMGM studio. The Green and White take down the Cleveland Browns 23-16. They are guaranteed the number 2 overall selection in the 2021 draft. That's because the Jacksonville Jaguars lost at home today to the Chicago Bears. The Jets have an opportunity next week to extend their winning streak to 3. They're going to New England as we bring back Anthony Backton and Eric Coleman. What a weird spot as we end the season, Anthony. The New England Patriots, they're out of the playoffs. 2008 was the last time they didn't make the playoffs, and Tom Brady was hurt that year. And the last time the Patriots did not win the division was 2002, and you know a little bit about that team.
Tom Brady was terrible for this team. You know, Belichick is a very good coach. We all know that, but he can't do this on his own. They don't have enough players, weapons. You know, they had a few good games throughout the season. They hung tight in a couple. You know, the Jets, you know, gave a game against them at home away that should have won. And now they're heading up there with really all the momentum on the Jets side. You know, the Patriots season is over from their standpoint. They tried to make a run. You know, it's got to be a little hurtful for them on that end. They're going to have guys down. They're going to have, you know, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the last game. You know, they're going to try to play some young players. Who knows how they're going to try to end the season. So, you know, you look at both teams and the directions they're heading, it's much different. And I think that's great for the Jets. You know, the Jets, you know, again, both of these teams have nothing to lose, but I think there's a little more to gain for the Jets because they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I mean, look, they were 0 for a long time, 0 for 13, and to finally get that win, you almost felt like they could gain momentum in this week versus the Browns. They took advantage of it. And again, why not, right? Throw everything you got, all the playbooks wide open. Anything you can do to come back with another victory to end the season with 3 straight wins would be, you know, huge for this team's, at least the morale moving forward into the offseason, that they can say, you know what, it was a season that was down. A lot of things happened throughout the year. But you know what, we finished 3-0 with a lot of guys that, quite honestly, probably you wouldn't think be starting on the football field for them this late in the season. So again, it's an opportunity, right? That's all you can ask for. And I think that they're a little brighter heading forward than the Patriots may be from an organization standpoint.
Yeah, and there was Sam Darnold running with authority again here this afternoon. There's a touchdown pass to Chris Herndon, 2 on the day. Eric, your final thoughts here, because the AFC East changing the guard this year. The Buffalo Bills, AFC East division champions, and the Patriots will play the Bills tomorrow night. Miami right in the playoff mix. They might be in the playoffs at the end of next weekend. We'll have to see how that all shakes out. But Miami and Buffalo have good infrastructures in place, and I know the Jets want to be a part of that as well. This is going to be a nice opportunity, I should say, for the Jets to win, go out on a 3-game winning streak here to end 2020, and then try to revamp things as they get in the mix of a very changed landscape inside the AFC East, because, guys, we haven't seen anything like this in a long time.
Yeah, Eric, you know, I think the Jets are going to realize that the AFC East is wide open. You know, yes, Buffalo Bills are they won the division this year. Miami's most likely going to make it to the playoffs. But, you know, as bad as the Jets season has been, I can't help but think that, you know, that they're confident that a couple more players here, a couple breaks that going a certain way, then they're going to be right back in the mix. So next year, you know, it's motivation, you know, to get after it in the offseason, to work hard, end this season off on the right note by beating, you know, the former big brother of the division. Go ahead and beat them up at home, end the season on a high note, go into that offseason with some momentum, and start off on a new track next year.
Well, fellas, it has been a long year, but I've been very fortunate to be able to spend it with you. Happy New Year to both of you guys, and of course, your beautiful families.
Thanks. Happy New Year, EA.
Shout out to Gore, right? I believe he needed 48 yards. Right?
16,000, third all-time running back to reach 16,000 yards for his career. He continues to bring it for this team. And LaMichael P. Ryan, I know that he's a guy that you like a lot. Anthony, making some contributions as well out there today. But a nice shout out there for Frank Gore. Happy New Year to him. He reaches a milestone every week. All right, fellas. The New York Jets, 2-13. The season has not gone the way anybody envisioned, but they are finishing it on a high note. They'll have an opportunity for a 3rd consecutive win next year, and then revamp some things, make some changes, and hopefully find themselves in contention next winter. But from all of us here at Jets 360, we appreciate you sticking with us and continuing to tune in here throughout the year. The next time we'll see you, I believe, is 2021. Have a blessed new year from all of us. Good evening.